So in this video, we're going to now start with the first feature for the less basics, which is the variable. So you have the first row and you have a link on the right. So you can follow this link that's going to direct you to the first CodePen where we're going to cover the features, the variables. And I'm going to give you a quick tour of CodePen. So first you have the panel for the HTML, then you have the one for the CSS that includes less, and you have JavaScript as well that we don't need. So you can click on the cross to remove this one. And you can also go at the bottom in the case you actually need to restore one of the panel. You can click on that one, you can click on that, and then that's going to remove the CSS panel, although we need it, so we're just going to click back on it. Here we go. You also have different options to view, so this code editor for CodePen, so you can have the view on the right and the source code for the code editor on the left, or the opposite, having the view on the left and the code editor on the right. So that's really up to you. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go back to the initial setup with the view at the bottom and the source code at the top. That allows us to have a larger view of the source code, so that's certainly better for the demonstration. And you can also drag this one up in order to have a larger view of the page and see how this is rendered. And you have different menus on the top, so feel free to navigate to see the different options and see how CodePen works. You also have the options to view the page, full page on a larger screen. So here you have the different options to save. And first, before starting to work, we're going to fork. And I'm going to provide you a link that you can fork in order to be able to work from your own project. So you're going to need to create an account first. So remember that the link may be different of the one that you see on the screen right now. You're going to need to create your account and then fork from the link that I am providing you. And then you're going to save. Then you have the tab Info, where you can include some information in regards to this CodePen if you want to be specific and descriptive. So that's very optional. And then you have also the options to share on the social media platform. And on the CSS panel, you have this icon that you can click. So you're going to see the different options and features that you can enable. So right now we're using less. So you can click on none in order to disable this one on the top right here. So right here you can see that the less label has disappeared, but although we need this one, so I'm going to click back on less in order to enable this one for this demonstration. So now let's start with the demonstration, and we're going to start with the variables. So the convenience with the variables is that you can easily set global styles that can be changed in one single location without having to change it multiple times in multiple locations in your style sheet. So in this example, I have defined different variables. So the first one is for, the two first ones are for hex code colors. We could have used named colors. So for the first line, actually, I'm just going to replace, I've written named colors. I'm going to change that to hex code color. I am also defining variables for the black color. And you can also assign a string to any variable. Then we use numeric values. And also a list for this border, and finally, for the layout, we're using 15 pixels for the padding. So we're going to see an example now with our layout. So you see that on the HTML structure, we have a header, a title, which is an H1, then we have a main section with, I'm using the class container, and we also have a footer. So I'm going to start by styling the header, and I'm going to use different variables, so first for the font size, then for the color. So feel free to do your own styling, really, so that's really up to you to see how you can manage, how you can get familiar with the less syntax with the variables for starters. Okay, so right now I'm using the font size for the variable for the priority font size, meaning that this is going to translate into 24 pixels for the value of the font size. And for the color, I'm using Wisteria. And we can certainly change this one to another variable in order to change the value for the color. So let's see that. So we can also use the variable nesredis. Right here, we can see that we have a variable to which we have assigned a specific hex code color. And there is an icon on the top right corner. You can click on it. And then we can switch to the compiled preview. And here you can see that how this was translated into standard CSS. So you can see that for the font size, now we have a numeric value, and for the color, that has been translated into the corresponding hex code color. And of course, you can see also the change in the preview mode. So at the bottom, you can see that now we have the H1 with a green color. So we're going to move on to the next section. We have the div with the class container, and we're going to style this one. So we're going to change the layout. We're going to add some padding. And for that, we have already a value to which we have assigned the numeric value of 15 pixels. And we're using the shortcut for the padding property, meaning that we're using two values. For the first value, this is for the top and bottom, and then we're targeting the left and right for the second value. And you can see that with less, you can also do math calculations, so that's the cool thing, meaning that for the second value, you're actually using not just 15 pixels, but 25 pixels by using +10. So maybe we could change actually this value to 15, and then you'd be able to actually apply 30 pixels for left and right. So you can then check out the difference in the preview mode, but also in the CSS compiled preview by using the icon that you have on the top right corner. You can toggle back and forth between the less syntax and the CSS compiled preview. So let's move on. We're going to look at the footer. And what I'd like for the footer is to have a border. So I'm going to use the property border, and I just need to use actually one variable to which I have already assigned the properties, the settings for the border. So by applying this one, so right now I'm going to be able to see that now I have a border, 1 pixel thick, solid, with the black color for the border. And also I'd like to have the paragraph centered in the middle of the page. So here it is. I'd like to have the exact same CSS rules for the header, so I'm just going to copy this one and paste it inside the header selector. Here we go. And also I'd like to have it aligned in the center for the H1. I'm just going to do one last editing. So what I'm going to do is actually change the color variable that we have. So for the border, you can see that we're using right now at black. I'm going to replace this one with this variable that I have for the color of the header in order to change this one. And then you're going to be able to see the change right away. So not only in the preview mode, but also in the CSS compiled preview. So then we're going to toggle to the CSS compiled preview, so you can see that wherever we applied a variable, so this has been outputted to the standard CSS by using the corresponding hex code color or the numeric value. So you can see that for the container, for the left and right, so we have now 30 pixels. So using less saves you a lot of time, because you can notice that now by defining one time a variable, you can use it multiple times in your document. And also when you need to edit this one, you just need to edit this one in one single location and have it updated multiple times without having to write multiple lines of code. So that's very convenient, and that saves you a lot of time.